Hey everybody, happy Saturday evening, a live tutorial stream. How's everybody doing? Wherever you are out there on the internet today, I hope everyone had a great Saturday. If you're someplace like Dallas, Arizona, or California, I hope you managed not to just spontaneously combust today because it was another scorcher. My computer's actually telling me, shockingly, that we're having a heat wave here in Dallas because I hadn't noticed. But anyway, so welcome, I know, right? It's shocking. So welcome to the Beading Dream Saturday evening live tutorial stream. We are going to be doing this project tonight. This is in honor of our very own Crafty Skull Corvus. This is our Night Queen Tiara. She purchased one of those lovely labradorite beads from us several weeks ago, months ago. Time is weird. I don't even know. 3 weeks, yes, 3 weeks ago. In the
actually closer to 3 weeks. It was from the new stuff.
But anyway, and so she wanted to make a tiara out of it, and so I had to make a tiara design that was Corvus appropriate. So I came up with this, which don't ever try to put on a tiara just using a camera as a mirror. So that is it. So it's nice and gothic. It's got lots of fun pointy bits to it, and didn't stick in my hair, so that's a good thing. So yeah, so that's our project for this evening, is our Night Queen tiara. And it's you can get very freeform with this. Like we're gonna make this center section basically the same as my sample, but I don't know what I'm quite gonna do on the sides yet. I might wind up doing something a little bit more fancy on the sides. We shall see. But what we're going to need to make this particular piece tonight is we are going to need some 18 gauge wire, and we're going to need a fair amount of it. We're going to need 3 30-inch pieces and 2 12-inch pieces. So what is that? That's 114 inches of wire. So, unless this is a really special occasion, I definitely recommend using bronze or copper because your price point is going to be significantly lower. But if you're, going for the super fancy, you could absolutely do this in sterling silver or gold filled as well. But you're going to need 18 gauge wire. You're going to need some thinner wire to bind your pieces together. And on my sample, I used 26. But I kind of want it to be a little bit sturdier, so I'm going to try 24 tonight, and we're going to see how that works. So you're going to need some thinner wire, 26 or 24. You're going to need your little embellishments, so one large flat bead, so I am going to be using one of my pretty flashy labradorites. It looks good with one coin-shaped bead on top, so I got more of my amethyst coins. And then this was a little embellishment that I added last minute, but I really do like it, is a little charm at the bottom, and so I have a little labradorite charm to go at the bottom because it's for Corvus, and I know that Corvus loves labradorite. So I'm going to start by cutting my 18 gauge wire. So that's going to be 3 30-inch pieces and 2 12-inch pieces. So 30 inches, 2.5 feet. So again, 3 30-inch pieces and 2 12-inch pieces. So how's everybody's Saturday going? Anybody do anything fun today? Like actual weekendy stuff? Because I just worked today. So my Saturday stories are never very interesting. We didn't have any complete crazies in the store today, so that's good. We got to see some people that we love, which is also good. Okay, so that's my 3 30-inch pieces, which I'm going to attempt to place over here and hope that they don't fall on the floor. That may or may not work. And 2 12-inch pieces. Okay, so I've got my 3 30-inch pieces, my 2 12-inch pieces, And then I'm just going to cut myself a piece of my 24 gauge wire at about 1 foot to 1.5 feet. And that's what I'm going to be using for my binding. So I just want to have that handy when I need to tie things together. Alright, so our 3 30-inch pieces, hi Smee! Our 3 30-inch pieces are what's going to make these 3 kind of peaked parts here, and then our 2 12-inch pieces are going to make these sort of inverted butterfly wing shapes that go here and here. So this is all one piece that goes up and down, and then another piece up and down, another piece up and down. This is actually 2 separate pieces, one there and one there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my marker, and I'm going to measure and mark the middle of all 5 of my pieces of wire. So, and there goes one on the floor. Come back here, you. I need you. Okay, so I don't quite know where I'm going to put these so they don't fall down. But, so the middle of my, oh for goodness sakes, necklaces. What is your problem? Okay, so for my 30-inch pieces, obviously the middle is going to be at 15 inches. So I can measure 15 inches and mark. I'm going to do that for all 3 of my long pieces of wire. Okay, so I've got all my long pieces of wire marked. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark my short pieces of wire as well. So the middle of those obviously is going to be 6 inches since they are 12-inch long pieces of wire. Bye, have a good one. Okay. So now we're going to grab our chain nose pliers. And as far as tools for tonight, all you really need are your 3 basics. Your round nose pliers, chain nose pliers, and a good heavy duty wire cutter, because we do have that 18 gauge wire. So we want to make sure we have something that we're not going to destroy our cutters when we're cutting our 18 gauge wire. So now I'm going to take one of my 30-inch pieces of wire, and I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers. I'm going to find that center marking, which is right there, and I'm going to bend my wire on that marking, which means I'm going to grab with my pliers next to that marking, and I'm just going to bend it up. Try not to do that if you can avoid it. And then after I've bent it with my pliers, I'm just going to bring it together, and I'm going to use my pliers to squeeze that nice and tight together. So what I have is a little kind of pointy fold in my wire. And then I'm going to repeat that with my other 2 long pieces of wire. So once again, find your center marking, which is right there. Grab next to your marking and bend. So you just want to get your angle started like so. And then, hi Corvus! The queen herself has appeared. And then we're going to squeeze that again to get a nice pointy little bend in that wire. How's the weather by you? Still gates of hell hot? because that's how it is in Dallas. 2, and 1 more. And now I've got more wire on the floor. Of course I do. Okay,
Do you want me to get it?
no, I can get it, but thank you. All right, so again, grab next to your marking, bend like so. Oh yeah, crown's way more fun than cleaning, for sure. And then we're going to pinch this. There we go. So once again, we have that nice tight fold. Oof. Yeah, I don't know what we tapped at it today, but it was probably something similar to that. At least we're cooler than Talleyfed is in Arizona.
It's true.
We're also probably 3 times as humid as Talleyfed is in Arizona.
Probably.
Okay, and then these are my 2 short pieces. These are my 12-inch pieces. So I'm going to find my center marking on those as well. And all I'm going to do on those is I'm just going to bend them to make an angle that looks like that. So it is an acute angle. So 90 degrees would be here, right where my finger is, so it's slightly less than that. And I'm going to do that the same on the other one. So I'm just going to grab, bend, just like so. Alright, I'm going to set those aside. So now we're going to go back to our little pointy peaky bits. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, oh, only 99 today. And of course, 105 tomorrow, the day when I need to work in my yard.
Of course.
And I have to go out at like 7 in the morning to not die. Okay, so now I'm going to take these little folded bits and I'm going to hold them so that I'm looking at the side of the fold. So I'm not looking at the front of the fold, I'm looking at the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 wires and I'm going to pull them outwards, and that's going to create that little peak that's going to be on the front of our tiara. So I'm going to do that with all 3 of these. So again, wow, what did I do? Oh, well, that's going to be interesting. Okay, so again, look at the side of your peak and just separate your wires. And last one. Look at the side and just spread your wires outwards. Okay, so those are my 3 peaks for the front of my crown. So now I'm going to go ahead and bind those together. So I'm going to just have one in the middle and one on the right, one on the left. I highly recommend having a largish space to do this in because wires just going everywhere. So the way that I have mine set up, the one that's in the middle is also in front. So I'm going to go ahead and overlap those 2, and at this crossing point right here, I'm going to grab my 24 gauge wire. So I want to have an X there, and then I'm going to wrap around that X with my 24 gauge wire. You could also use 26 gauge wire for this. And like I said, 26 is what I used on my prototype, but I think I want it to be a little bit more stable, so I'm doing 24 just to see if it makes a difference. Now, when you're binding things together like this, you have to pull tight. If you don't bind tightly, your entire structure is just going to be completely unstable. It's not going to work, especially with the number of joints that we're going to have on this. Like, you really have to make the effort to really pull on that and get that secure. So 4 or 5 times around is usually sufficient for that, so then I can go ahead and cut my ends off. Alright, and then I will go back in with my chain nose pliers and I'll just press down my pokey stabby bits. Like so. Now I'm going to grab my other pointy bit, and that one is also going to go behind, but on the other side, like so. So again, I've got another X there, and I'm going to go ahead and bind that. And at this point, this is going to be incredibly squirrely, all right? Things are going to be moving, things are going to be shifting, you're going to be like, what the heck is going on right now? And just go with it for a little while longer, and I promise it will sort itself out. So we have our crossing point right there, and then we're just going to wrap around it. It's really not, Corvus. I made sure to pick one that wasn't super complicated for you. Right now, the most complicated part is managing my wires, since there's not a whole lot of space underneath my camera. Okay, so now I've got that wrapped together, and I'm going to trim and tuck my ends down. Like I said, this point it's going to be real squirrely, don't worry. We'll stabilize it in a minute. Okay, so right now, when everything is actually in its place, this is what you should have at the moment. Three little peaks, like so. Try not to stab yourself. Try not to stab yourself with the wire, because it's not fun. Making sure that yes, okay, and so the next step, sorry, just making sure that I don't like lead you all astray on this. Okay, so the next step is going to be to bind this X right here. So that X comes from one side of this and one side of this. This is not involved in this next binding at all. So now we've made another X, and now I'm going to bind that together. Now we're going to be binding over this binding when we do our inverted butterfly wing pieces, so don't make this binding hugely bulky, but it's going to be a lot easier to do your inverted butterfly wing pieces if you've got this somewhat stabilized. Also, once you stabilize this, then these are going to stop sliding around on you. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this X. Like so. So again, I'm using a 24 gauge wire because I wanted this one to be a little bit more stable than my prototype, on which I used 26 gauge wire. So we're going to see how this goes. The places where I'm anticipating it potentially being problematic are where it goes through my beads. I do not know if the beads that I have chosen are going to fit on this 24 gauge wire, so I may have to run and grab some 26 just to attach the beads. Okay, so now I've got that bound together, and I'm going to trim. And press my ends down. So make sure when you're pressing down your ends that you actually give them a good pull and a push so that they're not sticking up. Okay, you do not want pokey stabby ends sticking up, because especially on a headpiece, they will totally catch in your hair. Okay, so what we should have now is this. So now you can kind of see the front structure of that crown starting to happen right there. So you could just stop at this, but I like the little butterfly, inverted butterfly wing pieces, which are these pieces right here, for two reasons. Number one, I think they add a little bit more dimension. Number two, they help to stabilize, because that's another wrapping point right there, and more wrapping in the center. So I'm going to take my crown in process, and I'm just going to set that aside. Oh dear.
What happened?
Nothing happened. It's all good. I totally didn't lose my wire that was right in front of my face or anything.
Oh, good.
That wasn't a thing that happened then. Okay, so welcome in. Anybody who just got here, we are doing this project today, the Night Queen tiara, in honor of our very own Night Queen herself, Crafty Skull Corvus. So I've done the basic structure of my tiara. That's what I've got here. And now I'm about to make the little kind of inverted butterfly wing pieces that go on the side. So these are pretty simple. All we're going to do is we want one wire to be straight, one wire to be curved, and push it up so you've got something like that. That's really all there is to it, and then it's going to look a little bit more graceful if you actually give this bottom wire a slight curve as well. So there's my one, and I'm just going to do the same on the other. Corvus, how could you not believe you are a Night Queen? You're the Night Queen. Okay, so there are my two pieces. So what I'm going to do now is look at my sample. Okay. Apparently I'm going to throw some sandpaper in the trash can. Because that's a thing.
Like you do.
That's a thing that I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and we're going to do our anchoring of these pieces. So these are going to get anchored in the center, and they're going to get anchored right here. So I think I'm actually going to start with, can I start with the center, or do I have one too few hands for that? Okay.
It's always better if you only have one too few hands instead of
That's true. Okay,
two.
so that's the center. So, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Okay, so we're going to start with the outside ones, because there's no way I'm going to be able to hold that and bind it. I would need to come equipped with an extra hand, which unfortunately was not part of my factory options package. So I'm gonna do this binding instead. So this is on the outside of my outside peak, and so I'm just gonna line this up at the center and then grab this. Try not to let it move around too much. I'm gonna bind it. So again, make sure you're binding nice and tight. Just wrapping around with that 24 gauge wire, and trim. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So once again, line it up with the center, figure out where it's going to cross there, hold that, and then bind. And sorry, I'm going to bind over here because there just is not enough room under my camera. So apologies for that, but it's the same thing that you've seen me do like 4 times already. Okay, so once again, now we've got something that's looking very bizarre. Right now it could be kind of like a 3D fish creature.
Ooh.
With tentacles.
The sea queen as well.
Yes. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to corral these both in the middle. So I'm just going to rotate them back to the point where their pointy bits are right in the middle. And you can do this one at a time, which I think I am going to do. Just start one and then do the other and then bind them all together. So I'm going to take my wire, and so see I've got that point tucked right in to that corner. So I'm just going to wrap around a couple times to stabilize that. And then I'm going to grab the other one and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to go across and then I'm going to start just binding them all together. Okay, there we go. So, let go of my camera. Goodness gracious. Okay, so now the front is starting to look a little bit more like we want it to, and a little bit less like a, you know, the creature from the Black Lagoon. So there we go. I'm going to leave this wire on here because I'm actually going to use that to put my stone on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wires that are coming from my peaks here. I'm going to take, probably be easier to see on this camera. I'm going to take these 3 wires and I'm just going to bring them out to the side like so, and then I'm going to take the top of my little inverted butterfly wing wire and I'm going to wrap that right around here. So I'm going to take this one. So really, what in the heck did camera, what did you, oh, it flipped completely over. Hey look, that's the ceiling, y'all. Goodness gracious.
Hello, ceiling.
Okay, so now I'm going to take this big wire. Okay, this is an 18 gauge wire now that I'm wrapping, and I'm going to wrap that around these other 3 18 gauge wires and I'm going to bind them together. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side at approximately the same distance. So there. The ceiling is white Corvus. The ceiling is just acoustical tile. The wall is pink. And I did not paint the wall pink. It is not my fault. It was that color when I bought the store, and repainting is going very, very slowly, by which I mean I repainted half of one wall 5 years ago, and that's as far as I've gotten.
But there was a pandemic for most of that time.
Well, some people would say that because there was a pandemic, I should have had more time to paint the walls.
Some people are wrong.
Okay, so that is all your wires situated. Okay, so that is basically the front structure of our crown right there. Make sure those are down. So now we're going to take and we're going to do some little side embellishments. So I can cut this off because otherwise I'm just going to stab myself with it. Make sure you press it in. And then I'm going to take these 3 wires, I'm going to hold them as flat as I can, and I'm just going to bend them up and around like so. So that's just to make a little side embellishment there. And then this final wire, which is coming off of my, that's the bottom of my butterfly ring right there. That wire is going to go through those loops that I just made, and it's going to anchor off right here on the top of the butterfly wing. So the butterfly wing basically winds up becoming a self-contained element where it's anchored off on itself. So I'm just going to take that wire to here, grab it with my chain nose, pull it around nice and tight. If you can get it to go around twice, even better. There. Okay, so that's that side. Okay, so there's my anchored wire, there's my little curly Q, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So once again, I can cut off this wire because we are done with it. Alright, and then take these 3, hold them together, bring them up and around. Up and around, she says, to make a little loop-de-loop. Like so. Ta-da, and then take this wire through the loop-de-loop and anchor it onto itself right here. I'm just going to put that through and go ahead and getting very squirrely. There we go. So grab your wire with your chain nose and then just, again, wrap that around once, twice if you can. Okay. Okay, so sorry, wrong button. Alright, so where we're at right now is this. So this one's going to be a little bit of a taller tiara, which is going to be kind of cool, I think, because you'll see that it'll sit up a little higher and you'll see that charm a little bit more. Goes forward a little bit. Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. Okay, so now we are going to, alright, so, oh my gosh, why do I keep pushing the wrong buttons? It's definitely Saturday for sure. Okay, so now I'm just going to go to the finishing, and so I'm going to take one more of my wires and I'm going to bring it up and over and anchor it off next to this other one. So I'm going to trim that a little bit because it's a little too long. And just anchor that up. Okay, so there's that one, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And if you get this happening, which is pretty common, where that won't, hey Barb, where that won't stay, what you can do is shove that back in place and then just anchor that one side around here, and then it will stay. Much better. Okay, so the other thing about my prototype is I really feel like I made it too long. Like, it should fit me more like this. Now, what you can do, and this is actually a trick that is used on a lot of actual, like, real fine jewelry tiaras, is we're gonna make the ends into 2 loops. And you can actually take a piece of elastic or a piece of ribbon and you can tie those loops together, and that will help your tiara to fit a little bit better on your head and be a little bit more secure. But that being said, I still feel like it's a little long. So I'm going to make the sides a little bit shorter on this one. So these were... Alright, so these were about 4 inches on my prototype, so I'm going to do, I think, 3 inches on my one that I'm doing right now. So I just measured out 3 inches from this point, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my wires and I'm just going to bend it out and then around my pliers all the way around, and then bend that back so that what I have is a nice centered loop. I'm going to take my other wire and I'm going to lay it in with those two wires, and I just realized I'm out of 24 gauge. So I'm going to cut myself another piece of 24 gauge. So, of course, it is Saturday evening. That means that we are going to be following up this tutorial stream with a live merchandise sale, and that's probably going to start around 7:45 since I'm almost done with this project, but not quite. So I'll probably be done with the tutorial 7:15 or 7:20. So the live sale will start around 7:45. We've got some more CZ Pave charms for you, plus more new bead strands. Okay, so now I've got 3 wires here. I'm just going to take my 24 gauge and I'm just going to bind really tightly around all 3 of those wires. And I'm going to bind for a solid, 3/4 of an inch to a 1 inch section. Alright, and we're going to trim. Sure you press down the edges, because these really will catch in your hair and be extremely uncomfortable if you don't. And then I can cut off this wire here. And it's okay to just cut it flush with the wraps, because with that 3/4 of an inch to an inch of distance, that should give that all of the tension it needs to not come out. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with this. Yes, no, nobody wants a bleeding scalp, Corvus. You're not alone in that. Okay, so then I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to measure out 3 inches. And then, again, bend out. Roll it over, all the way around, like so, and then grab that end, just bring it down parallel with the other end, line everything up, like so. And then, again, wrap everything together. Awesome. Heather made a new drink, which is apparently very good.
Mm-hmm. Pretty too.
It is. Okay, and then trim all of them, so the skinny ones and the fat ones. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and bend this, and you just need to round object, or cylindrical object, so I'm using my trusty Starbucks cup. And you're just going to...
Good thing you have a trusty Starbucks cup.
I know, right? Isn't it though? Okay, and so you can just bring it around and overlap it, because it is going to spring out quite a lot. Alright, so again, don't use the camera as a mirror because it's not a very good mirror. Okay, so this one's a little taller than the other one, but I still think it's pretty cool. So now we just have to put on our charm and our stones, and we're good to go. So let's see, which stone do I want to use? I'm going to use that one. Okay, so the charm's going to go on with, and the stones for that matter, are going to go on with these wires that we left here. So the charm is very simple. I'm just going to take one of my wires, drop my charm onto that, and then just bring it around, making a little hanging spot right there, and then you can just wrap it up and over and around a couple times to anchor it. Just like so. There's my little charm, and then I'm going to take the rest of this wire and I'm going to drop my stone on there, and we're going to hope that it fits, which it does. Alright, so I've got my labradorite stone on there, and then I'm going to have to anchor it here and here, so I'm gonna have to do kind of a triangular wrap because of just the way that this shape is made, and then I can anchor that right here around this little neck that I made. And ideally you want to pull enough so that everything is symmetrical. So like this right here, not what I want. I want it to be symmetrical, which means I'm going to need to pull that around a little bit more. There we go. That's what I want. So it's going to look better if your triangle is symmetrical, like so. And I'm just going to anchor that wire off around here. And I have a bigger space here than I thought I would have. Part of me wants to put something that's larger than that amethyst on there. Trim that off. Okay, so that's my two labradorites are on there, my little charm and my big one. And then I need one more thing for the top of this. I'm just going to go see what I've got. I will be right back. Since it's a crown for Corvus, what else would I put on but another lab? I don't know why it took me that long to figure that out.
Well, you had to find the right one.
I did. Alright, so everybody remember these beauties? I need one of those. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this lab right there. And I'm going to do that with a separate piece of wire because I ran out of wire. No big deal. That is, of course, always assuming that the wire goes through, which it did. It just required a little persuading. So now we have our last lab, and I really do wish, well, you know, I can make it go that way. It's gonna look prettier this way, so the hole's drilled straight, but I can just go ahead and anchor it on the diagonal and it'll stay on the diagonal. I think that's gonna look prettier than having it as a square. So I'm just gonna anchor that nice and firmly around that frame there. Same thing down here. Yeah, that looks better as a diagonal than it did as a square. So there you go. Triple labradorite, Night Queen, Queen of the Night, crown, tiara. I'm thinking I may have to add one more structural piece down here to really help it, because right now it kind of wants to fall down. But if I add one more piece on there, it'll probably. Okay, honestly, like, I don't know why this is so hard, but it really is. Like, I just can't get it straight. Okay, there we go. So I think I need to set it up a little bit more like that. Also, you know, a mirror instead of a camera would help with my putting it on. And it does have the little loopies at the back, so you can totally go ahead and use a piece of cord or a piece of elastic to tie that in the back. And that, believe it or not, that is actually something that they do with like real honest to goodness fine jewelry tiaras, is they will actually use an elastic band to help hold it onto your head. Like, I'm not even joking, that's actually a real thing. So there we go. It is Corvus's Night Queen crown. Can finger shape it if it looks weird. Hi Patricia. Yeah, okay, there we go. One Night Queen crown. So I will make sure all the kinks are worked out of it. I'll make sure all the stabby bits are pressed down, and then I will ship that off to you, Corvus. I don't know why I keep trying to put that on my head, because it just looks dumb with the camera. But there we go. So thanks for hanging out with us for our Night Queen tiara tutorial. Again, in honor of our very favorite Night Queen herself, Crafty Skull Corvus. So I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. That means we are here on Lovers Lane in Dallas in our physical premises, Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you're not local in Dallas, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream. 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We stream Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights at 6 p.m. Thursdays at noon, unless I get stuck in a traffic jam like I did this Thursday. And live merchandise sales every Wednesday and every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Of course, it's just 7:25 now, and I'm ending the tutorial, so our sale tonight's going to be closer to 7:45 or 7:50, but we will be having CZ Pave charms, new beads, and of course lots of fun and shenanigans. So thanks everyone so much for hanging out with us for this tiara tutorial. I will work on an Egyptian style tutorial for you, Patricia, see if we can help you make an Egyptian style tiara, but for now I'm going to go prep for the sale, and we'll see y'all back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading. Woo! Oh dear. That was not good. No yawning yet. The sale hasn't even started yet. I can't already be yawning. But yeah, we'll see y'all back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in half an hour for the sale. If you're not going to make it to the sale, thanks so much for hanging out with us on the tutorial. And don't forget, we start streaming again Wednesday of next week. Our first project for next week is these. It's a really cool pair of embellished ear wires. Really fun way to kind of take that part of your earring that a lot of times is, you know, kind of a design throwaway, and make it into an actual part of the design. So those are going to be really fun. So hopefully I'll see everyone in 30 for the sale. If not, have a great night, have a great weekend, and we'll see you back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream real soon.